Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today is a very special episode. Nothing brings me more joy and pleasure than introducing our new authors to our audience. So Irene Quevedo is on the line today, and she's been chosen to be one of our authors at our best-selling Mission Matters Business Leaders series. And Irene, I just want to say, hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, Irene, so I'm excited to get into your content. Today, we're not going to spoil all of your writing and everything because, hey, everybody listening, yes, we do sell books, and we will be bringing on Irene for a second interview once the book goes live and once it's launched. We'll do a deep dive. But today, we'll also talk about Operation Jumpstart and Irene's company as well, Level Up Latina and her work there. So, Irene, first thing first, I just have to start this episode the way that we start them all with our Mission Matters Minute. So, Irene, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Irene, what mission matters to you?
Oh my goodness. The mission that matters most to me is the mission of elevating those most at need. That's what matters to me. I like to find those populations that need this growth, and I like to play a role in that elevation.
Love bringing mission-based individuals and entrepreneurs on the line to share why they do what they do, like how they're doing, and really what their goal is out there and how they plan on making a difference in the world and in the marketplace. So great to have you on the show. And I just have to say, as I researched your background and as we did a deep dive into vetting, make sure that you were the correct author for the book. I just have to say I was impressed. First thing first, I want to go a little bit further into your background. So how did you get started on this path to really working to empower populations and really even just as an entrepreneur? Like, where did it start with you?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. So, I'd like to say that it started when I was young and when I was a child. I had a lot of mentors in my life and a lot of folks that I maybe didn't recognize as mentors growing up. I was the youngest of six. I grew up in Inglewood, California. My mom was a single parent. And my older siblings were likely my first mentors and guides. And I didn't realize it. I probably took them for granted, but they saw a lot in me, and they saw that there was this spark in me and that I deserved to go really far in life. And so I deserved to be the first in my family to go to college. And they poured that belief into me. And so I became a first generation college student. And flash forward all these years later, I've been with Operation Jumpstart for 13 years, serving students that are going to be the first in their families to go to college, that are breaking barriers, that are making their own path, that look a lot like me, Latinos from the inner city, really just trying to break through. So this passion of mine started as a child. Flash forward to starting my own company with other like-minded Latinas, and Level Up Latina is a coaching and business company that supports women, again, trying to create and create something that hasn't been created before in their communities among women that look like them.
Oh, it's great. It's a great story, and we'll go further into Level Up Latina, definitely in Operation Jumpstart. But first, let's talk a little bit about the book. So you're selected as a new author. I mean, tell us some of the things that you hope that your readers will gain from your writing, and not holding this to, by the way, for the audience. And just so you know, we got a lot in the development process, so some of these things may change, but the themes normally don't. Like, what kind of things do you hope your readers are going to get out of your message?
My book really is focused on a mindset of deserving. I do think that especially in our first generation populations born into poverty, folks that have come to this country as adults, this group of individuals, such hardworking people. I am one of them. I know that we work so hard and there's so much that we are out there doing. And the book talks about that journey. But it talks about how we may be set back and not believe that we deserve all the success that is possible because of our very challenging upbringings, because of our cultures, perhaps, or the communities that we grow up in. And so I really want to challenge that. And the book is going to talk about really key specifics about building a mindset of deserving in a world that may not look like you, that may not represent you. Because the truth of the matter is, Adam, it's our jobs. It's our jobs to bring the representation. And so I really want to fire folks up about that exact thing and being in the room.
Yeah. And representation, that's always a hot topic, right? Because there's a lot of different opinions, a lot of different politics, a lot of different things surrounding it. But I mean, I can just tell you that we work very hard at Mission Matters and trying to bring great representation, especially to underserved populations. But that being said, sometimes it's hard. It's hard to reach those populations. I feel like it's like sometimes there's a misconception out there that there's maybe some always this one thing that's keeping, or this one magic thing that's going to change everything. And it's like, no, it's a process. It's a conversation. It's a dialogue, and it's an experience. Like, we're humans, right? Good old prefrontal cortex, and the right to make choices and freedom of choice. All these things play into us being humans, and, caring and wanting to feel a connection and things like that. So even trying to reach the populations, and then on the opposite side of things, having the populations maybe want to reach out as well. It's a dialogue and it's a partnership. Can you talk a little bit more about your experience and how this works? Because I mean, I work on it, but you do this every day. Like, this is your business.
Absolutely. So both of my businesses are rooted in coaching and mentorship. And the
Mhm.
difference between coaching and mentorship is mentors show you how to do it. So at Operation Jumpstart, we have a ton of volunteers, mentors that are showing kids that are going to be the first in their family to go to college how to get there. Wonderful examples of experiences that we've created for our students. That's mentoring. I do that every day. But I'm also a coach, and coaching is slightly different because coaching is about showing someone what's in them to do the work,
Mhm.
not just showing them your example and your success, but pushing them to do the work. So in my life, in my example, in the book, I talk about how I had key teachers that showed me how to enroll in that first college kid
Yeah.
uh, course, or college course, but I was a high school kid. That's what I meant to say. Pardon me. So I had those mentors as a
Mhm.
sophomore in high school, for instance, or a junior in high school, for instance. But coaches are different. I've had to buy that coach. I've had to pay for that fitness coach to get my butt to the park, to get me to work out, to work on my
Yeah.
fitness goals. I've had to hire that business coach to get to the next level. And that's so critical. But mentors and coaches are everything. And I expand on it in the book. But I think that that's a game changer for everyone to really understand that we can't go at it alone, and we
Mhm.
don't need to feel like we don't have the support that we deserve. It's all about deserving in the book, and I really want folks to understand the difference between that. And both my businesses really focus on coaching and mentoring and the special relationship that individuals can have with their mentors and their coaches to reach new heights.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I want to switch it up a bit here. So I do want to spend some time on Operation Jumpstart. You mentioned, over 13 years with the organizations. First off, congrats. And tell us a little bit more about the organization.
Oh my gosh, it's a phenomenal organization based out of Long Beach, California. We do everything for our students. Hundreds
Mm.
of students served a year. And when I say everything, I mean everything: mentoring, coaching, tutoring, it's college access support, college prep. We work with students eighth grade through college completion, very long standing program. They can count on our support because they're all low income students, all from the Long Beach community, and all going to be the first to go to college, as I mentioned earlier. So there's all
Yeah.
these wraparound services that go on at Operation Jumpstart. And it's something that as a child, if I had had that, wow, I already feel like I got pretty lucky, right? Birth order, being the sixth. But as a child, I've had a program like this in my corner in my life,
Yeah.
free services, scholarships. It's incredible work. I'm deeply passionate about it. I've been the CEO for many years, and I don't think I've ever want to stop.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I don't want to assume that people maybe know some of the challenges that these, first generation individuals go through. I was second generation, so my mother did go to college, but she was first generation and she took the long route. So bless her heart, she worked really hard, a class at a time. And I mean, over the course of, I don't know, might have been 15 years, but she received her master's in social work, and she was the first on that side. And for my end to kind of finish college and do all that. So I had a little bit of that coaching from her and some experience, but she didn't. Like, she didn't. So because she didn't, it was like all new. It was just all new terrain. Like, she didn't know. So can you maybe talk a little bit about about just some of the challenges that this population faces?
I love that question. And I can talk about it from a personal lens and I can talk about it from what I see every day. But just taking it back a step further, since you brought up your mom, I've got to bring up mine.
Yeah.
Love her so much. And I love her journey. She came to this country as an adult, left three children behind in Mexico.
Mm.
She had 1 year of schooling under her belt. She had a little suitcase with one change of clothes in it.
Wow.
one change of clothes in this little suitcase. She went on to become, she held, so many jobs, but she went on to become a homeowner, to become self-employed, clean houses, raised 6 kids. She had 3 more kids in this country, myself being the last. And there were so many challenges and struggles there, not because she didn't want the best for us, but because it was hard for her. But she still, in my eyes, is a Gates, a Musk, a Jobs. Like, she's so successful in my eyes, so much that she was able to accomplish, right? And I feel she gave that to me. And I had this natural grit because what we faced as first gen kiddos was a lot, was too
Mhm.
much. Poverty, domestic abuse in my home. Everybody's home is different. And with the pandemic, I can't even imagine the struggles now.
Mhm.
But to work beyond that, I had to. I just had to. It was just something built in me because she had to. She
Yeah.
had to as well. So as a first gen student, you have so many hurdles, and I won't pretend to know everyone's, but I
Mhm.
touched a little bit on mine, and it's just so much more challenging. And I said it earlier, you almost sometimes feel like you have to work twice as hard. So those are the challenges. And when we can fill the gap, Adam, it's critical. And that's what
Yeah.
Operation Jumpstart does. We fill the gap. We provide the resources, the tutoring, the guide, the scholarships, all the things that really would have made it easier for my mom, for instance.
Mhm.
She was working hard and I was home alone, and older siblings were the child care
Mhm.
and all of that. My older brothers all dropped out of high school, 4 of them. They had to
Mhm.
work. Those are the challenges. You have to work.
Ah.
You have to do so much to help your family. So when you can break through as a first generation person, it
Mhm.
is your job to continue to reach to the next level, to
Yeah.
continue to grow. And that's what the book really talks about.
And sometimes there's just these things that, and this one gets me all the time. Sometimes it's just a knowledge gap. It really is. And it can be little things. I'll share one of mine. So this one still gets me today. So I wait, and I just didn't know. I mean, my mom, I don't know if my mom had to take the SATs to go to college because she worked through so many programs, and she was, she just had a different experience than mine. So I believe I might have been one of the first, if not the first, to take the SATs in my family. So we didn't really know that process. So I went to, we didn't seek help or anything like that. Went to take the exam. And maybe I was just not claiming I had all these stellar grades. I didn't, but maybe I was good at taking tests. And I was 2 points away from being able to have a full ride and a full scholarship. The reason I didn't do it is because I waited to the very last time to take the test. I didn't even know I could take it earlier. I was like, okay, well, when's the last time? I thought it was just like signing a form and like a technicality. I didn't realize that if I would have actually studied for it or put any work into it, I wouldn't have had any college debt. And I'm like, come on, are you kidding me right now? I didn't even know. But like these little simple things that somebody watching this right now might be like, Adam, really? You didn't know that? Like, how would you not have known that? Well, maybe in your family that was common knowledge. In my family, it wasn't. So sometimes these little things sometimes can mean the difference between a student not just getting into college or succeeding or anything else, but also finishing and also staying there and having that support group. Like some of these like little tidbits and helps and like pieces of advice without organizations like Operation Jumpstart, like it doesn't necessarily exist. Like you heard Irene's story, her mother's amazing. I mean, come on, what a pioneer. But while she's out there raising her children, doing everything else, she may not have had the time to focus on an SAT score or something. It's possible. I don't know. Maybe she did, but I know in my family that was missing information.
In fact, with my mom, she did the best she could. There clearly was a gap there. But
Yeah.
I think about her, and that's why I'm passionate about this work.
Yeah.
Had she had a mentor, had she had a guide, had that existed in her life, a coach to support her, I
Oh
mean,
my gosh.
further would she have gone. But it's all
Yeah.
about that gap. And I do talk about that gap in the book. For me personally, I had so many just fortunes in my life. I went to college because my family believed it first. But I honestly went to college because I was there following a boy freshman year, and I saw this
Mhm.
college. I went to UC Santa Barbara. It's beautiful. And Adam, I just believed it was possible, but I didn't know how to do the work. I didn't know how to get into college, but I saw it, right? So I believed it was
Yeah.
possible. And then once I was there, I studied abroad and I saw that world and I knew what was possible. And so I
Mm.
went on a sabbatical with my family for a whole year and traveled as an adult once I had 3 children.
Wow.
How did I believe that was possible? I first had to study abroad. I first had to go to college. I first had to have someone believe in me. It's like when you get out there and you're a little bit out of your comfort zone, then you know what's possible. So your SAT story, now you know. And I bet you
Yeah.
did something differently the next time, right? And then you go
Yeah.
back and you tell someone about that story and they have it easier the next time. So it's really about the mistakes that we make, being what we give back and educate others on. And it's really about the lessons we learn as we go to then make our life bigger and better, because we just get out of our comfort zone more and more, and we fill that gap. But folks need the support to fill that gap. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah. Speaking of missing information, the Europeans have it figured out with their whole gap year and taking a year off and traveling. That's beyond the scope of this interview. Whoever's watching this, if you don't know what gap year is, Google it, and you'll just be like, what? I didn't get a gap year. I didn't get time off. This is not fair. It's not fair. And I agree. Okay, moving on. So Level Up Latina. I do want to spend some time here as well. So you told us a little bit. Let's go further. So tell us a little bit more about why you started the company.
Absolutely passionate about Level Up Latina. It's both a podcast and a coaching company. We are 151 episodes in. We are a 3-year-old baby that has now started to walk and run and do so well in this space. We started the company because women, especially women that look like us, Latinas, needed something else, needed something more. They needed coaching. They needed guidance. I talked a little bit earlier, I alluded to like the path, but that path had so many mistakes and so much uncertainty and so much loneliness, my path to become as successful as I became. And I'm still growing up every day. So there's more for my story to unfold. But boy, could I have used a coach that was from Level Up Latina 15 years ago, 10 years ago. And it was a matter of just bringing myself out of my shell back then much sooner. I talk about this in the book, but also to do that now for women, to give back to women, to make sure that they're confident and prepared and not feeling like imposters in their working world, in their journeys as mothers, as partners. We just knew that women needed to be elevated and coached, especially Latina, but really any woman. We service all women. We've had men that are interested in our services, because the truth of the matter is we're all trying to grow. If you're not growing, you're dead. And we know that and we recognize that. And so Level Up Latina is about that growth. And I just love the work.
That's amazing. And for those that have never really gone down the coaching route, so a lot of times people use maybe the trainer analogy to explain it, but a lot of people don't like working with trainers, and a lot of people don't work out, but they're business owners and they need this help, or they need this guidance on kind of how to hit that next level in life. So maybe give them a little bit of the nuts and bolts on what it looks like to engage a coach at Level Up Latina, and like just kind of what that process is like.
Coaching is absolutely incredible. I think a lot of folks take it for granted because you see a coach on television, or you had the coach in high school that you didn't really appreciate. Like you said, you don't want the trainer. You have like PTSD from the one trainer you did have. Listen, coaching takes you to the next level, no matter who you are. I've had women that are fresh out of college and have no idea what they're going to do, to business owners with very successful businesses, wonderful lives from the outside, really trying to break through to the next level. And what a coach does is they challenge you and they hold you accountable. They are masters at questions. They're masters at getting you to dig deep, to cut out the BS, different than therapy. Because maybe a therapist wouldn't say cut out the BS, right? And maybe that's what makes us.
Or maybe that's the type of
maybe that's what you need. But coaches are definitely the ones that are going to push you. They're going to push your buttons. They're going to learn you differently. And so you can't coach any one person in the same way. And I admire some of the greatest coaches we've ever seen in history, especially as it relates to sports. But we need to celebrate business coaches. They're out there in the world and they're giving back and they're making a difference. And it's a very nuanced, wonderful industry. And if you can have a coach, it's the best investment you can make in your life. I've always had coaches in different areas of my life. I don't know everything. I talk about it in the book. Learning is a lifelong journey. If you get the privilege of growing old, you should be learning and growing. And sometimes you need a coach to get you to that next level to learn and grow.
Oh, I completely agree. And in my own life, I mean, just every coach I've had along the way has been worth it. I mean, it's really interesting how it works. This is not my saying, and I don't even think this was this gentleman's saying that said it on the show, but it always sticks with me. And that is, you can't read the label on the jar when you're sitting inside of it. Like you need like, so I always picture myself in this big pickle jar, and I'm seeing the one side of the label, and I'm like, I can't see the other side of the label. How do I get out of this jar? But the answer isn't necessarily to get out of this big pickle jar. It's to get a coach and get that coach to read the label to you while you're inside the jar. Because even if I could get out the jar, I'm going to get put back in the jar one way or another. So I might as well have that coach that knows how to interpret and talk to me and read the label for me and do the translation, because maybe I can't read the language that label's written in. I don't know.
But also the coach will hold you accountable, because once you know What do you do once you know? Once you know about the label on that pickle jar, a lot of folks know, and then we're still not moving forward. We're still not taking action in our life. I like that a coach is the special one that helps you. They don't do the work, you do the work, but they get you to move forward once you know what's on that label.
It's awesome. And so what types of individuals do you typically work with? Like what do you find is normally a good fit to work with your team on the coaching side of things?
We'd like to say it's very simple. With Level Up Latina, if you're feeling stuck, you need a coach. At different points in your life, for different reasons and seasons, we have moms that had multiple children and left their career, and they're feeling so different. There's an identity crisis. We've had young students that went and got all these degrees, masters, bachelors, feeling ready and still not ready, right?
Yeah.
We have longtime business owners that may be feeling burned out. The pandemic was especially hard on folks, and business owners took it hard. Different industries took it the hardest.
Yeah.
So we are really working with people that need to get unstuck, with women that need to rebuild their identity, grow their confidence, and really just have the strength to get unstuck and do the work again.
So, obviously working with people daily on in both sides of the spectrums, a lot of change going on right now, right? A lot of people maybe moving positions, feeling uncertain, and it's natural, right? We're all going through this shared condition. And for context, for everybody watching this, we're recording this in 2022 May. So lots happened in the last couple of years. So what are some of the things that and I know there's no one size fits all, by the way, that you tell every client the same thing. I don't mean that, but I mean, what are some of those themes and conversations that you're having around change right now?
Some of the conversations that we're having around change is adapting and staying relatable. One of our most recent podcasts, which got a lot of love, was a podcast about staying relevant in ever-changing times. And so we want folks to embrace it. Change is the only constant, really. And so if you're trying to live in the past and get back what you had pre-pandemic or in your youth or when you were in college, or we can always look backward, but we're never going to go backwards.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to focus on embracing change, A, and B, we take small steps towards it. We challenge our clients to get out of their shell slowly, to embrace that change. I've got change going on with every single one of my clients that looks different. I mean, that's relationships changing, ending that season, life changing. I have clients that have parents that are older, that are sickly, that are passing away, that experienced COVID. I mean, so much change there. Your family dynamic changing, the structure of your family. So being able to take small steps to embrace it and grow with change is critical. And then I talk about it in the book, and we talk about it on the podcast. Self-care is critical, and you hear it all the time, but taking care of yourself is key, and being whole and being okay with yourself is key to battle change.
It's great. And let's go further in your podcast. Love supporting podcast community and podcasters. I still say to this day, podcasters are the best people on earth. I don't care what anybody says. Haven't met one I don't like yet. So that being said, tell us the name of the podcast and a little bit more about the content, because I want my audience to definitely go check it out.
Thanks, Adam. So it's the Level Up Latina podcast. We launched the podcast when we launched the business, so it has grown with us. And we have everything. We have incredible guests from all different industries, from all different walks of life that we feature on the show. And it's 3 women that started the company, myself and my partners, Veronica and Cecilia, all co-founders and partners. And so we just gab. We went to college together at UC Santa Barbara. Yes, it is a party school, but we're also pretty bright chicks. So we've got a lawyer in the group, a great businesswoman, a CEO. So the 3 of us and our combined experience, we just have this heartfelt show, Adam. It's just so heartfelt, and it's so beloved. A lot of first-gen women relate to what we're talking about. There's a lot of Spanglish thrown in there. We talk about our upbringing. We talk about everything from, imposter syndrome to the hottest tips for a great, self-care regimen. We're talking about everything: business coaching, interviewing. Imposter syndrome was a hot topic for us that folks loved hearing about. Advice that we would give our 25-year-old self. That's something that every guest answers. Another hot topic. We have a wonderful following at Level Up Latina, and we're just excited to do the work.
Oh, that's so good. And that is so exciting. And I know that this is too hard to ask somebody, but I always ask because it's not a fair question. So it's a total setup. But what's one of your most memorable episodes, or moments from the podcast, to give us a flavor of the content? So, right, you're talking about making you choose between which kid do you like the best, or what?
Oh my gosh.
I do it on purpose. It's the meanest question ever, and it's intentional. I hope nobody ever turns it back on me one day.
There are so many. There are so many, and they're like all kind of, coming up to mind right now. But I will say one of the biggest breakthroughs for me personally is we once had a therapist on our show, and it convinced me to seek therapy. I was always one of those people that felt like, I'm good, I'm well adjusted, I'm successful. And then I thought, I should do this. And then another one of my partners went for it and got therapy too. And you don't know why you need therapy sometimes, but you're feeling like something resonated. She spoke to me. Does she know me? Is she in my heart? Like, it was a great breakthrough. And I'm now such a huge advocate for it. It's made me a better coach to be in therapy. I'm sure my husband loves it and my mama loves it. Like, my kids love it. Everyone loves that I'm in therapy. But talk about how transformative a podcast is. I mean, it led to me having something else in my corner to support me and, my growth expands because I'm more well-adjusted and supported. And so that has to have been one of my favorite episodes, but there's so many I can't even talk about because they're not appropriate here. But if you're listening, you know those shows and you know how great they are.
That's awesome. Well, I just have to say, Irene, I'm so excited and thrilled to publish your work and to get that your message out to our audience, and also to continue to support and be an advocate in your mission. That being said, I have to ask, what's next? I mean, you're a busy woman. I mean, between the positions, the podcast, like what's next?
There's so much in store, and I'm just blessed to be here. I feel like I'm moving in all cylinders. I give back to my university a lot. I'm involved there. I do a lot of public speaking through that work, and I just like to grow that space because I think this is a very important message, this message that representation matters, that we all deserve the best out of life. And sometimes it's just about that gap that exists that keeps us from getting to that next level. And so what's next for me is to continue to double down on that message. I want more women to hear it, but I want more folks of color to hear it in general. And so more books in my future, absolutely. And I'm excited about that. My family's really excited about this, and my friends. And so more to come there, but definitely more from the stage, more speaking, because this message is important. It's critical. And I feel that you and I get to bring a different experience and life lived, and we need that. So I want to continue to be that vehicle.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And if somebody is watching this and they want to learn more and they want to connect, whether it's Level Up Latina or they want to listen to the podcast or just connect and follow the journey in your content, I mean, what's the best way for people to do that?
Great question. So Level Up Latina is everywhere across all platforms so that you can listen. Just look up Level Up Latina. If you look us up on social, our handle on Facebook and Instagram is @Level Up Latina. On Twitter, it's @Latina_up. And so that's for that amazing and incredible business. If you want to be a client or learn more, of course, leveluplatina.com is our website. OperationJumpstart.org is our website there for this amazing mission work that we do. If you want to volunteer to be a mentor, if you want to learn more about the students in our program and how they're enrolled, OperationJumpstart.org. And we're also across all social media OP Jumpstart LB is our handle. And I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to field any questions. My personal email is either Irene @operationjumpstart.org, Irene @leveluplatina.com. Very simple, but I'd love to, answer questions for folks.
Fantastic. And for the audience listening, just so you know, we'll put all that information in the show notes so that you can just click on the show notes and click on the links and head right on over and check out Irene and her work. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters, we're a platform that's all about elevating and amplifying and highlighting the messages of entrepreneurs, executives, and experts, and figuring out, why they do what they do, how they do it, how they're giving back, and really what we can all learn and take away from that to improve our lives as well. If that's the type of content that sounds interesting or fun or exciting to you, then I welcome you. Hit that subscribe button, because we have many more mission-based individuals coming up on the line like Irene. And we're bringing Irene back for the next episode when we once the book is launched, and it's going to be fun. And I'm excited to go further into Irene's story and also her writing. And Irene, again, thank you. It's been a really pleasure and honor having you on the show, and I'm pumped to promote and to publish your writing. So thank you.
Thank you. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much, Adam.